How's everyone doing out there today? It's Ask Hypnotica number 16. This question comes from William from I have no clue because he didn't tell me where he's from. So, William, you're out there somewhere in the world. Hopefully this gets to you, okay? Here's your question. Hey, Eric, how do I keep from running out of things to say to women? Thank you for any and all advice. Well, the first thing I want to tell you right off the get-go is guys are always thinking about things to say, all right? And I always say this. I say, when you talk about you, it equals blah, blah, blah to her, all right? And this is where I'm a big advocate of education. This is where I'm a big advocate of expanding your horizons and getting involved in different hobbies and ideas and thoughts and being well-read. Because the more you know about life, the more you experience, the more you go out there, the more you're going to be able to pull from different experiences to have good conversations, to have meaningful conversations, to expand her model of the world. See, that's the trick. The trick is to actually expand her model of the world. It's not only talking to her, but it's expanding what she knows. It's bringing her a new experience. It's allowing her to learn. It's allowing her to engage. Most guys are simply like, well, what do you do? How about the weather? Do you want to go on a date? Like, that's not stimulating. It's kind of in neutral. You're not engaging her. The trick is to absolutely become engaging, all immersed in a conversation with your attention, with your focus, with your ability to stay present with her. That in itself is huge. If you can just stay present with her, give her good eye contact, look at her, actually listen, all right, there's always going to be cues in any woman's conversation on where to take it. Now, you can take a good conversation, have a conversation by asking a lot of questions. You got to kind of forget about who you are a little bit, and you got to absolutely get involved in what's important to them, what's nice about the way that they go through their world. And you simply do that by asking questions. And you ask questions when you hear things coming out of their mouth. If they're saying stuff like, oh, I really like to paint, you say stuff like, well, what is it about painting that you really enjoy? All right. You ask questions, and you can always keep a conversation going by asking questions. But you got to get curious about her. You got to get out of your own head. Okay. Focus on her. All right. Really pay attention. Become immersed in the conversation and listen, because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of cues for every little thing that she says to be able to take that conversation anywhere you want. Now, let me make it real clear. Some women aren't that interesting. And some women, I walk into it too. There's just some girls, maybe they're just not into you, or maybe they're just boring, or they're just mentally not there, or maybe they're high or whatever. And that makes it really hard. Like, it's like pulling teeth. So always think to yourself, like, it's not always you, all right, if you're having problems with it. Sometimes it's them. So, if you're getting in there and you're not making a connection and it feels like it's pulling teeth, hey, just walk away. Just be cool with it. Like, you don't have to make every conversation with every girl work. It doesn't work that way, okay? There's lots of different people out there. There's lots of people that love to talk. There's lots of people that are interesting. There's lots of people that have exciting lives. And then there's just some people that are just blah, dull. It's like talking to a log, okay? But if you ask questions and you're not getting the feedback and you're not getting the stimulation and you're not getting the exchange of information, be fine with just, going, okay, well, it was nice talking to you and walking away. When you're trying to make that happen, it just makes it hard, and it makes it just, it's just one of those lame things, all right? And another thing is you have to learn to engage. Like, obviously you're talking about probably getting to a more intimate level of communication. Well, there's different levels, and I talk about this, like, there's like the hot red zone, okay? Let's just think of a bullseye. There's the hot red zone, and then there's the next layer, which is kind of a warm zone, and then there's the cold zone, right? And I tell guys, like, most guys are like on the cold zone. Oh, what do you like to do? Or do you enjoy your work? How about the Chargers, or whatever they talk about? So they keep the conversation out here. It's not mentally stimulating. It's just kind of a conversation. Now, if you want to get more into the warm area, and if you're dealing with women, if you're talking about being intimate and wanting to stay intimate with them, you got to work in the warm and the hot areas, all right? Definitely work in those warm and hot areas. Moist is good too. Now, if you want to get into the hot areas, that's when you have to engage. You have to be present. You have to be really focused. And it's always not about just the talking or the communication or the language. A lot of times it's the straight silence. And now you can go sexual 100 different ways from there. But just think about, okay, are you mostly talking in the cold zone, the warm zone, or the hot red zone? And when you learn to do that, when you just have that categories built up in your mind, you really tend to stay focused on what is it that you're thinking about? What's your organizing principle? And what is it that when you're dealing and you're having the conversation with her, like, what's in the back of your mind? If you're just doing it to like stay in the conversation, you know, you're kind of laying on that level of anxiety where you're like, I just hope I stay in the conversation. But if you're thinking, you know, I want to absolutely make a powerful impact on this girl and make a one-in-a-lifetime experience for her, you know, you're thinking differently. If you're thinking in the back of your mind, like, hey, you want to be intimate with her, you're going to start to gear and change your behavior, the conversation that you're having, a little bit more dynamic and specific for what it is you want, and you're going to stay in those areas. So that's a big thing. It's very important that you understand this instead of you're just out there flap, 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 flap. And like I said, pay attention to her nonverbals. A lot of times they'll be giving you hints, okay? There's all typical ones where they're playing with their hair, or if you're really calibrated, okay, you can watch their eyes when they dilate. You can go with that. You know, if you're paying attention to them, you can say, and then this is engaging. Like, this isn't just like neutral conversation. The engaging is, you mean you're actually creating reality right then and there. Like, you're creating the conversation. You're on the edge of energy and life, and you're creating something new. So if they get shy and they go like this, you go, what's that? What's all that about? Why are you getting shy? And she's like, I don't know, I'm just feeling embarrassed. And you're like, stop. Give me your hand. Just relax. Okay, look at me. Okay, are you having fun? Yeah, you feel good? Okay, good. Let's start from there. You know, that's engaging. That's like being actively intimate with them. And they really, really appreciate that. But you have to be aware of it. You got to be not inside your head. You got to be out there focusing so much on them that you absolutely forget about yourself. And they're going to give you all kinds of cues. They could be moving around. They could be nervous. Their hands could be fidgety. You can watch their lower lip. If it expands, you know that's usually, it's kind of a link to being turned on or aroused. If their eyes dilate, it's about being aroused. If their breathing increases and starts to get faster and faster, it's because they're getting aroused, okay? And call them on it. Just point it out to them. You know, bring that to the table so you're not shying away from it. You're basically saying, hey, I noticed this about you, and we're staying present, we're enjoying this. And then, you know, they'll get nervous and they start to smile and say, now look how sexy you're fucking smiling. See, you shouldn't feel all weird about it. Like, it's okay to feel open, right? You know, and you get those communications, those taglines when you say right. And you know, so you can say, like, nod your head, right? Okay, good. It feels good. Come here. Come here. Give me a hug. Okay, just hold that. You know, grab her and just kind of pull her into you and say, see that? That feels good, doesn't it? You know, it's being active right then and there. And then you can move out of conversation. Like, conversation isn't going to get you to see faster, okay? Silence, communication, that ability to feel comfortable, the ability to know when to put the pedal to the metal, strike when the iron's hot, you know, create the intensity, okay? And a lot of that has to do with just being present. So the tip for the day is don't worry about staying in the conversation. Start thinking about how can you make an impact her and move her into a state that you would like. So if you're there and say, hey, you know what? I want to make this girl smile, okay? So I'm going to do what it takes and take all my behaviors and communication and experience, and that's my goal, and that's how I can get her there. If I go in with just like, oh, I hope I get her phone number, or I hope she likes me, that's not specific enough. If it's like, I'm going to get this girl kind of super flustered and aroused, right? Then you have a goal that you can go right for. And the longer the conversation, like a lot of guys were screwed up by the game. So it's 8 hours to get a girl to, you know, get aroused. It takes less than 2 minutes if you're good at what you're doing, all right? You can just go in there and make that connection and boom, it's there. If you know how to say the right words and everything's kind of working your way and you're utilizing your intensity, okay? It's the intensity, it's the eye contact, it's the focus, it's the concentration, being present with her, that they'll feel that. And you can run off of that really, 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 really quickly. Because sometimes, let's see, you know, every once in a while I like to party. I've done a lot of it in my lifetime. And I was amazed when I would go to a, let's just say like an underground or a rave or a festival, and you're feeling the groove and you're moving, you can walk right up to a girl and boom, you get that connection. And next thing you know, you're kissing or you're making out. Okay, and there was no communication, all right? So really work on how are you presenting? What's the energy you're putting off? What's going through your mind? How can you see her more beautiful than she sees herself so that you can expand upon that and make her feel good? There's a good concept. Instead of thinking about where I'm going to take the conversation, think about how can I make her feel good? How can I make her blush? How can I make her smile? How can I make her move away from the experience that she's having with me feeling amazing, okay? This is high-level communication. This is not, you know, back there and saying, you know, trying to get into a conversation by asking a question. This is intimately, actively creating conversation in the moment. So I hope there's some information there that was useful for you. And it's Saturday, so I'm going to get out and play. Hope you have a great day, my friends, and we'll talk soon. Hypnotica out.